I'm Diego Sanchez, COO of HousingWire, and this is 10-Minute Talks. My guest today is Greg Sher, Managing Director at NFM Lending. Greg, welcome to 10-Minute Talks.
Hey, I'm glad to be with you. You're a legend in the industry. As I told you when we first connected here, it's good to see you in person. I appreciate all you do for the mortgage industry and keeping us up to date. And the power of HousingWire really showed up through the NAR lawsuit and the great work that James Kleiman and all your other reporters have done on that and so many other stories. So it's an honor to be with you.
Yeah, the feeling is really mutual. I'm really excited for us to have this conversation today. Before we dive in, could you give a 60-second introduction of yourself and NFM Lending?
Oh, yeah, sure. So NFM is a retail lender. We are licensed in 49 states, and we're purchase business. No big shocker there. So we're not a call center. I think most people are doing purchases these days with rates around 7.5, which is unbelievable to say, considering about a month and a half ago we were at 8.5. So yes, small wins, we'll take them. So my job at NFM is to help with new initiatives around marketing and recruiting, and we've got something called NFM TV, where we interview newsmakers. And in fact, I interviewed James Kleiman around the NAR lawsuit. So that's NFM. We're a top 15 lender when you consider just the folks that do retail. We'll probably close around $6 billion in 2023. In terms of me personally, I've been in the business somehow 26 years. 1998 is when I first cut my teeth in the industry, and I have not looked back. First as a loan officer, then I went and opened up my own organization from 2002 to 2009, and then I merged with the folks at NFM, my employees. That was almost 15 years ago, 14 and a half years ago in July of 2009, and I've been here ever since. So I've basically had one job for 26 years, except for when I dipped out to open up my own company. That's it. That's my story.
Amazing run. And you've built a massive following on LinkedIn with a combination of news and leadership content. Why do you dedicate time to building that presence on LinkedIn?
Well, that's a really good question. It's a moving target. Let me just start there. And it really has morphed into something really meaningful to me. And so, I'm not going to go back and visit all the reasons why I was so committed to building it. A lot of them were selfish, wanting to be recognized, wanting to have a lot of followers. But really what it's morphed into is kind of wind beneath my wings as an advocate for the industry. I'm 53 now. I've done pretty well in the business. And I feel like there's a real void, a real dearth of leadership that speaks up in this industry. And it concerns me, and I don't understand it. And even though I'm not a CEO by title, I still have a voice and a lot of wisdom, and I try and lend it to as many people as I can. So that's kind of where I am today, and why it's so important to me to get out there and talk about the experiences that I've had. I've been through quite a few storms, having been in the industry as long as I have, so I know that things are going to turn around. They always do. So I want to kind of breathe that optimism and hope into people. And then because of my background in broadcasting and all the stuff I've done in marketing, I'm able to see the business through a different lens when it comes to marketing, in particular, the progress that has been made along the lines of social media. So that's something that I've encouraged people to get involved with. NFM launched the first ever influencer division in mortgage about 2.5 years ago. We now have 12 fully licensed mortgage influencers. They like to be called creators, FYI. They don't like to be called influencers, but it's so easy to call them influencers because everybody knows what an influencer is, right? But these are folks that generate leads through their social media channels, TikTok, Instagram, or the majority, some Facebook, a little bit of YouTube. And it's direct to consumer, which is where I believe this business is headed, and it's heading there fast. And parlaying with the great work you've done with the NAR lawsuit, if the injunctive relief does decouple fees, that's just going to accelerate even more this idea of direct to consumer, getting to the consumer before they even know who their realtor is, before they even know themselves that they're ready to buy a home. And so I really believe that that the traditional way that we do business is changing, and I've had the opportunity to see it through the lens of the influencer division, which has driven in 65,000 exclusive purchase leads in 30 months. 97% of these folks want to buy a home. 85% of them don't have an agent. And of the 85% that don't have a real estate agent, 94% are doing this: introduce me to an agent. And I'm just a tiny little morsel of the opportunity that exists out there today. And so I truly believe the business is changing. And I'm concerned not just about a lack of voices in the industry, to answer your other question, but I'm also concerned about our IMBs ready for this, because Gen Z, which is the generation upon us right now, it's the first ever digital native population, meaning folks that grew up with the phone in their hands. They're on it for 3 hours a day. They have a certain kind of behavior. They want to be addressed a certain way. And I don't think that lenders are prepared to communicate with them in the ways that they want to be communicated with.
Yeah, you did. And now I understand a little bit better why you've had James Kleiman, our newsroom editor, on a couple of times to talk about the commission lawsuits. But maybe tell our audience a little bit more about why you're so interested in those commission lawsuits. Why do you think that topic is important to the mortgage professional?
Well, the biggest reason is because if James is right, with his headline, which grabbed my attention, what if 1 million agents leave the business out of the 1.6 or so that are in it? It's going to rock the mortgage business. In particular, it's going to rock those folks that depend on the onesie twosies, because those are the folks that are going to be in that million number. So if you're a mortgage company or you're a loan officer that has sort of had this badge of courage by saying, oh, I closed 70 loans last year and it came from 70 agents. Well, guess what? You're in trouble. You're in a lot of hot water if they change the way agents get paid, because those people are going to go away. And the reason they're going to go away is because there's going to be a lot less meat on the bone. It's just not going to make sense financially for them to stay in the game, to pay the MLS fees and to join a brokerage and all those different nuances that are involved. So it's very relevant. And I think, in fact, I know that the loan officers that really, truly are a part of the fabric of their communities are going to be the one that continue to flourish, because they don't need anybody. Everyone knows where they are. They go into the hardware store. They've probably done a purchase for the person behind the desk. And so if you own your market and you are truly a part of your community, you will be a winner moving forward, no matter what happens.
So you talked a little bit about an influencer division and that contributing to a lot of direct to consumer leads. Are there other things that you're working on at NFM that are in anticipation of this shift that might be coming up?
We do have a very powerful domain that we were able to secure and trademark, readysetmortgage.com. It happens to be our tagline. You can see it behind me. And not only is that trademarked as a tagline, but we also have the domain. So we feel like it's a really compelling, strong, very memorable domain, and we'll be using that sometime in the future to bring in consumers, that are have not made a move yet. It's a dream come true to be in a position where you can get to the get to the homeowner before the realtor. And here we have this moment before us. So I would just encourage everybody out there, even if you're never going to be the face on social media, learn it, get to know it, share knowledge with other people in the industry, because it's very important and very relevant. And you don't want to lose relevance. Even if you're never going to be comfortable in front of the camera, there's still other ways to get that market share through micro influencers, through advertising, and certain things like that. So we're working on a few things. I won't go too deep into it because who knows who's watching.
Yeah, you don't want to give away the secret sauce too much. I get that. So we've seen maybe some signs of life in the housing market after what's been a pretty tough 18 months, declining mortgage rates over the past month, and some signs in our Altos data that the housing market recession may have hit a bottom. How are you and the rest of the team at NFM Lending planning for 2024, which may get a little better, may get a little worse? How are you thinking about 2024?
I think our feeling is that by the time, I don't want to speak for everyone, so let me just speak for what I believe. I want to be careful there, Peggy. We got a lot of employees. We close a lot of loans. So before I go to the broad brush, let me tell you what I think. I think by the end of March, we'll be, and I've said this on my posts, I think we're in the 5.75 to 6.25 range by the end of March. And there's some people out there that go, oh, wait a minute, the Fed's not going to cut that much between now and then. They don't need to cut that much between now and then, because if it just returns to historical spreads between the 10-year and the 30-year, you're already near those areas. So between that and the Fed coming out, which hopefully they'll do at this next meeting and say, we're done cutting, I think that's going to bring buyers back into the market. I think that'll start to loosen things up, and that spread will start to dissipate. And just the thought when they release the dot plot that they're going to cut 3, 4, 5 times next year, I think the combination of those things will bring rates down around 6% by the end of March. And so how are we preparing for it? We're preparing for a very cold January and February. We think that's going to be the absolute rock bottom, and we feel like we're going to come, emerge in March and moving forward and never look back. The bigger question is, what is going to free up inventory? What is going to bring sellers back? I believe that those rates will do it. Like, 80% of the country, whatever that number is, below 5%. How much will it take to compel them to want to jump in the market? Life is happening, all the various stages we know about. But the most important thing that's happening right now, which I don't think enough people are talking about, the savings rate, all-time low, the credit card debt rate, above $1 trillion for the first time. Like, everything is moving in the wrong direction. So, and I think that will help conspire to rates going down as well. So if you have a 4% rate, a 4.25% rate, you got a great payment, but you have 30 grand in credit card debt that you're paying $5,000 a month on. Even if you consolidate that at 5.75%, 6%, you're still going to end up way ahead. And I think that's what you're going to end up seeing, is people trading those rates in for cash out refis. And in some instances, they'll just cash in on their equity and, go like this and figure out a new place to live.
Greg, really appreciate you taking the time today to have this conversation. It's been
I'm already getting the gong.
10 minutes.
Started.
10-minute talk.
I feel like Rodney Dangerfield. I get no respect. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of 10 Minute Talks. If you want to stay up to date on all things housing, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and drop a like and a comment below if you enjoyed this video.